saw the Brewers finish off a sweep of the Guardians before failing to lock down a sweep of their own against the Rangers. We'll tell you what it all means. It's just as soon as we get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to destination for the best Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, analysis, hand-wringing, whatever else you got. A reminder, too, that the Locked On Twins podcast is a part, just one part, of the Locked On Podcast Network, which brings you your team every single day. And that team is probably the Twins, and I'm your co-host, Dave Brown. I've been in the BBWAA since 2012 and a professional ball writer since 1998. Across cyberspace from me is Brandon Warren, who has things to tell you about himself and the show.
Yeah, we are coming at you. I am, I guess, as a 30-year watcher of the Minnesota Twins. I've covered them for about half that long, lots of in-person coverage. So have some intellect, something I can offer, but at the end of the day, I'm just a fan like everybody else.
And yesterday was a tough day. Sunday was difficult. I don't know, was it more irritating or frustrating? Or was it a combination of both? It's kind of a frustrating. It was a 4-0 lead the Twins had, and people were hanging with Pablo Lopez with every pitch. And then after he gave it everything he had, it took about 3 minutes, I think, 9 pitches for Jorge Alcala to give back the lead. And it was frustrating because it happened so quickly, and it's not something we're used to with him. He did have another game kind of like that earlier in the season. I think it was against the Cubs, where he had a big, huge, terrible inning. Now, the Twins were able to come back and tie the score, but weren't able to take advantage of the silly extra innings rules to get a victory. And it's frustrating because the lead in the AL Central could have been narrowed down to one game. And Twins fans have been there before, with the Guardians finally finding their match in the Milwaukee Brewers, getting swept in Milwaukee. Didn't happen for the Twins at Texas. We'll see if it comes back to haunt them or not. It's gonna haunt. Walks will haunt, and blown leads will haunt at that point. Alcala, it happened so fast that they got Griffin Jacks warming up in the bullpen. Pete Mackey went to the mound to stall or make it all right, but he kept making terrible pitches against the Rangers, just like one after another. His stuff seemed fine. His spin was up or typical. His miles per hour were typical or maybe a little higher than usual, but his location, not so good.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I got to mention this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Yeah. I felt as though the Twins played with fire with Pablo Lopez for most of the day. And it felt as though he got through it. And the second Alcala's toes were held to that fire, they burnt up. And it was, second pitch single by Don't Call Me Willie Taveras. First pitch double by Semien. First pitch double by Seager. Second pitch fly out to right. Third pitch homer to left center. And so game's tied at that point. And I had actually aired a grievance of like, well, how do you let Jorge Alcala continue pitching when the game's tied? And then Josh Young hits that home run to take the lead. And it kind of felt like it was over. Granted, it wasn't quite over, at least not yet. But then a few people made really good points in how that snowballed so quickly that it wasn't as though you could have Googled it ahead of time. Oh, by the way, did I let you know Tyler Malley started that game? Anyway, you couldn't have had a reliever ready that quickly. So it was Jorge Alcala's inning to sink or swim, and oh boy, did he sink.
Yeah, the sinker wasn't sinking enough, I guess.
No.
I went into it. I actually I don't remember exactly what was happening. I was paying attention to the game with uh, Pablo in the game, and then I'm like, "Oh, Alcala's in. This is going to be fine." And sort of like that scene in Austin Powers where they leave, uh, the hero in an easily escapable whatever. I
Yeah.
stopped paying attention. I was a bad parent, and then someone came swiped the lead away. It was so I went into it. I saw your complaint about how can you let him pitch in a tie once you've tied the game, because I was like seeing all the reports. It was 9 pitches. It was
Mhm.
80 seconds. It was really quick. I think by the time Josh Young came in, I think Jax would have been ready. I saw him. I
Yeah.
think they could have made a move there. So they were one batter slow. I don't think it would have really been feasible to do it other than the one batter. Um, but at the same time, he got ahead of Young 0-2 and just put one on the tee right down the middle. I'm sure that's not where Vasquez told him to throw it, but it was, they say in the scouting report on Alcala, if it's not even an ambush. You can just swing early because he's going to be around the plate. And boy,
Mhm.
was he. Um, some other, I have, so I think your complaint at the time about why is Josh Young still, why is he facing Alcala? I think that was a good question. I think
Mhm.
everything else we have to lay on the pitcher rather than the staff. But they were no hit the offense for 4 innings by
Yeah.
a Morabito, a Gerson Morabito, who's been pitching well. But when you have a relief pitcher, a mop up guy, basically coming in for 4 innings, and you can't touch him for a hit, I'm going to lay some blame at the feet of the offense for going to sleep, kind of like maybe how the Twins staff did in the inning with Alcala pitching, but the hitters
Mhm.
also went to sleep. This is again a team effort. There's lots of things that went wrong. I think Rocco was a batter too late. I think the offense was very sleepy in the middle portion of the game, and they also didn't take advantage of the extra runner on second base in the extra innings.
Well,
So
and I mean, also too, like it's baseball. Like you're going to have 5 losses at least every year that are going to completely break your brain, right? I mean,
sometimes
it doesn't.
more if you're a fan of
Yeah.
other teams.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that you're going to be, oh, hey, feel better about it a few days later. But I'm also like, I'm not still stewing over the loss to end the first half against the Giants, where they kicked the ball around. It was like an inside the park homer or whatever, and so once the Twins win again, who knows if it'll be Monday in San Diego or whatever. Like this will all melt away and it'll be all forgotten. And oh yeah, what if the division is decided by one game? Yeah, okay, whatever. But part of me just has to remember that yeah, there are a few losses every year that'll break your brain. This is one of them for me. Um, the offense, yeah, I feel like, and maybe every team, maybe every group of fans or people who watch a team all season long can say it, because we all fall into these tropes. Oh, our third base coach sends too many guys. Oh, a rookie lefty that throws 85 always trips us up. Oh, this and that. But this offense does, at least for a bit, seem to fall asleep on a regular basis. And also, too, I mean, I don't think it's coincidental that they score the most runs in MLB from the 7th inning on. So it's not like we're making up this narrative or making up this thought. It's more along the lines of they've been able to, in light of this, still score runs late. And I'm not sure how sustainable that is over the long haul when you consider you're going to be facing really good bullpens the rest of the way, including but not limited to San Diego right now. I mean, they muscled up on their bullpen at the deadline. That's not a winning formula for facing a team that I think is 20-6, like an MLB that's 20-6 since the break. They can't continue to do what they've been doing. They're going to have to find a way to have a little more consistent offensive effort, or we're going to be right back in the frustrating 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 game back ether without enough time to come back from it.
Yeah, I was looking at the head to the pitching starting pitching matchups for San Diego, and it's they avoid Dylan Cease, so that's good. I don't think it's necessarily we'll see what Michael King brings and Matt Waldron and I forget who the middle guy is, but it's the Padres bullpen though is going to be an issue. And you bring up a good point to sort of file away for later about, the Twins are really good at, when in the late innings, and, we'll see if they're able to duplicate that in a playoff setting. But for now, we are going to take our first break and have some fine sponsors tell you things about what they're doing.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the PrizePicks community today. And by the way, this is new. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks, turning $10 into $1,000. But sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. So you don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. One Caleb Williams passing yard will get you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. So that's just around the corner here. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. So 4 weeks of free W's. Facing the Vikings won't even guarantee you that many W's. So don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because wake you up. September ends and so does this promo. But download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You will get a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game.
How exciting is it to talk about something other than the game yesterday? I think, it's not that we're not going to talk about the game, but talk about a happy subject rather than.
You mean like Caleb Williams? That's not going to be a happy subject for me.
Well, maybe we'll see. It's still the Bears. I'm not persuaded of anything. Although he's already made some plays that I can't ever. I mean, and this is a low bar, any other Bear quarterback ever making, but. He's made some good throws already. So
you mean Trubisky or Justin Fields wouldn't have made some of those plays?
Well, I mean, Justin Fields, he made plays, and then of course he would hang on to the ball and get sacked and drop the ball. So he would have that with the good. Caleb Williams made this one pass against the Bengals. He looks pretty good. I'm encouraged, but
as you should.
So somebody said, I saw somebody say, well, it was a Twitter question. A content farm, a harmless content farming question. And who is the most underappreciated or underrated? I don't remember. See how much I pay attention to the player on your team. And I didn't see too many. I saw one Twins fan answer. So it was Jax. And I maybe. I mean, I think that it's an interesting question. I think probably the most underappreciated Twin is Carlos Correa. But he's not playing right now, and he's also got a lot of light on him. I think the answer, who's the most underappreciated star player on the Twins? Who's having a great year and doesn't get the love for it that he should? It's Carlos Santana. I don't think there's any question that you look at where he's at in the first baseman rankings. He's 5th in MLB WAR among first basemen, 5th in the whole league. Only Bryce, Vlad, Freddie Freeman, and Christian Walker, another guy. Christian Walker's kind of Carlos Santana-like.
I feel like Vlad has also snuck up on us, though.
Yeah, true. But before it was, where's Vlad been? For these months or a couple of years, and he's definitely getting it back. When is he a free agent again? Is it this year? It's not this year.
I think it's after next year. I know Bo Bichette is after next year.
Bo Bichette, where?
Yeah, right.
That's from Return of the Jedi.
I thought you were going to say Willie Castro underappreciated, which is also true. And
he's on the All-Star team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they appreciated him enough for that.
Well, I mean, Santana, best weighted runs created plus and Fangraphs WAR since 2019, which is and isn't that long ago. I mean, if you and I think about that season, the Twins were the Bomba squad. They won a bunch of games, and that's when I last covered a game in person. And it doesn't seem that long ago. And then at the same time, you realize that 2020 felt like 3 years and 3 months all at the same time. And yeah, it's kind of easy to get like an inception brain or something. But Carlos Santana has been everything the Twins could have wanted and more. And, I have a friend, Travis, who keeps asking me, you think they should re-sign him? You think they should re-sign him? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought maybe they should have brought back Solano and they didn't. So I don't know how they feel. But like every single game he has where he's a difference maker, I'm thinking, why not?
I don't know if that was a direct message or it was just out in front. I didn't see Travis ask you that question. But coincidentally, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, should they give him a one-year extension? Does that make sense? And now he's 38.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's going to end sometime. And, maybe there is something that motivates a guy that's on a one-year deal. I got to bring it all the time. And maybe that pressure is something that he thrives under. And it wouldn't necessarily, we're almost done with this season. We've only got 6 weeks to go basically in the regular season. So I don't know if that is really a disincentive or not. But, and he is getting older. And we've talked about who isn't getting older, by the way. You got Miranda at first base and curious things with Royce Lewis, although Lewis has been playing third better. He kind of had been in a defensive. He said he doesn't do slumps, but he kind of has been in one defensively until recently.
Sir, you no longer rake.
Well, that too. There's
a lot of questions about, could Edouard Julien play first? Could he ever start hitting again? Could he ever swing the bat? But also Alex Kirilloff, I'm sure they're not out on him. So it's not as though first base is just this barren wasteland in the organization where they don't have guys they'd like to try. So that's the, to steal a line from Chris Berman in Little Big League, that's the stucco.
Right. Yeah, that's a movie I haven't seen enough of or recently enough. Little Big League. Do you think he could manage better than Rocco?
We talked about it the other day. It's Luke Edwards. I was trying to remember the name of the main character because obviously Pete Crow Armstrong's mom is the heroess or whatever.
I don't think that's a word, but
the heroine, and then Timothy Busfield is the hero. So
we mentioned Santana too because he hit the tying prodigious blast in the last inning to extend the game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done that a few times. He's come up with big hits. He mostly fields. He erases mistakes at first base. But the Twins, I think maybe the larger answer to this question, you mentioned Willie Castro before. The Twins are full of guys and Jackson's not a bad answer. Who's the most undervalued Twin? The Twins have a bunch of guys like
it might be Cole Sands too.
It has been Cole Sands, depending on the moments, for sure.
His peripherals are bananas, like a strikeout per inning and like 8 walks. He's been incredible.
Right. And, few guys on the team have been as hot as Jose Miranda when Jose Miranda's hot. And Buxton has carried the offense. These guys, they get paid a lot of attention. I think, Carlos Santana was a guy that certain people thought, maybe should have been DFA'd. Really early in the season, and Vasquez is another guy who in the first half, offensively speaking, didn't really give the Twins a lot, but he has in the second half and has been there defensively the whole time.
Miranda just reminds me of that classic third base profile, right-handed hitter, back in the day when guys actually hit 300. And I'm not saying he's anything like Edgar Martinez or anything, but like a baby version where the batting average is good and he hits a pile of doubles and still is going to take some walks. Again, Edgar's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest batting eyes you could imagine. But when I think of a prototype right-handed third baseman who may or may not be that great defensively, but gets a ton of hits, that's the prototype for me. You got Wade Boggs as the lefty and a few other guys. But for me, if he could even be just a dollar store version of Edgar in his peak, that's huge.
Dollar store now $1.25 because of inflation.
$1.25.
So, but this goes back to, we mentioned maybe the mistake that Rocco made yesterday in leaving Alcala in too long. But one of the things that Rocco and the staff do that I think is very positive and outweighs mistakes, if you will, of another kind, is the expectation that everyone is going to play, and the talent is good enough for that to make sense. And I think that sort of fosters this kind of just an underappreciation, or oh yeah, I forgot how important Carlos Santana is, or maybe it'll go a couple days before showing its head. But I think the environment that the Twins have sets up good moments like Carlos Santana coming through in the last inning, and he's one of the better moves I would imagine that Google Falvey and Thad Levine have made since they've been in charge.
No question about it. And we should probably take our last break here. Couple things though. You can catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with Chris Atterbury and friends. I don't know if it's Paul Molitor on this trip, but he has been doing some of these games of late on SiriusXM. Download the SXM app, search Twins. Zebby making his second big league start. He's going to be facing the Padres righty, Mr. Michael King, who since July 1st has been exceptional. First pitch, 8:40 p.m. Central at Petco, so get your coffee brewing. And also, thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen today, but your second listen, make sure you listen to Paul Sullivan on the Locked On MLB podcast. He's here to daily provide you with national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. So prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, which is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And we got to give it to them from FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and we have a little something different for you from now through September 22. So a little over a month, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So if you're a Vikings fan, you can watch long enough for your team to be eliminated from playoff contention. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game you want. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book. By the way, Twins against the Padres. Twins plus 1.5 runs, minus 164 against the spread, plus 132 on the money line, and the over-under, which the Twins are a minus 122 on, is 7. So it looks like the folks are expecting a low-scoring game between Zebulon and Michael King. So should be a good one. Make sure you check out FanDuel.com/lockedon and download America's #1 sportsbook.
Got to watch out for Jackson Merrill doing something heartbreaking in this game. He's been specializing in that.
He crushes righties, too. He and Arise are big righty crushers, and the Twins are, their rotation is exclusively righties, and then they have Okert and Thielbar in the pen. But, those two guys, it's going to be painful to watch Luis Arise in this series because Pablo is not pitching in this series, so you can't even get the head-to-head, validation. Because when they face each other, when the Twins played the Marlins at the beginning of last year, it was still kind of that feeling out process. And you didn't know how good either of those guys were going to be. And now, it's already a team since the Twins have traded him. He got traded again. So I don't know if the narrative wins out there. But if Arise gets 7 hits in this series and Lopez doesn't pitch, Twixer is going to be insufferable and more than usual.
Well, you'd think that we could be coasting after the Twins got to Mahle. I don't mean Molitor. Tyler Mahle, different guy. You'd figure that was over. How long ago was he on the Twins? Was it even this year?
Mahle?
Yeah, it wasn't.
No. So he was a trade deadline acquisition the year that they traded for Jorge Lopez. They really went in on it must have been the 2022 team. And then Mahle had a year of control where he was injured and then signed as a free agent with the Rangers. It sounds like the Twins weren't even interested in bringing him back, which, when you have the pressure of validating a trade you made for a guy and he's injured and you have a chance to bring him back for probably not that terribly much money, and you still say, deuces, we'll see ya. Again, I know the Twins had budgetary issues this offseason, but something tells me that it was not a good fit. And so both parted company in they were probably both more than happy to do so.
So we've talked a little bit about the upcoming schedule, and I had this whole thing where I looked at the Guardians schedule and the Twins schedule, and according to the strength of schedule gurus out there, as far as I can tell, it's about the same in terms of wins and losses and what's left to go. The Guardians are finishing up on the road with the Yankees for 3. Then they come home for the Royals, should be tough. Pirates kind of down right now for 3. They go back on the road for the Royals, Dodgers, and White Sox. Should be intermittently difficult. Come home for the Rays, the Twins. The Twins probably going to split that one too. Go on the road for 3 for the Cardinals, and then finish at home. Reds and then Astros. That would be tough, and you figure the Astros are probably going to need those games too. But so are the Guardians. The Guardians, you can't really count on them to not play hard. So
did you take this from Tankathon?
I looked at Tankathon. I looked at a bunch of different places.
So Tankathon is sponsored by the White Sox, right?
Huh.
No, the remaining strength of schedule, though, with 38 games left for both teams, Twins 10th and Guardians 11th, 509 to 507, virtually negligible. It'll just come down more to matchups. Cleveland, to me, what stands out is 7 against KC versus just 3 against KC for the Twins. So that could also be a decider because they're nipping at the heels too.
Yeah, let's. I think the Royals are well coached, well managed. I don't know how much they have left in themselves. We'll see. Seth Lugo's he's got like a 5 ERA for the last month. So that's kind of.
Guess what their strength of schedule is?
I don't know.
Second toughest behind the Rays. So 528. They've got 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the Yankees, 7 with the Guards, 3 with the Twins, 4 with the Astros, and 3 with the Braves. They've got 12 games left against the Angels, Nats, Pirates, and Tigers. AJ Hinch isn't going to let the Tigers roll over. Derek Shelton's managing to save his job. I don't know what to make of Washington, and the Angels are just a mess. But that's a gauntlet, man. The Royals, if they make the playoffs, will have earned it. No doubt about it in my mind.
Twins schedule I would describe as decently tough, but these 3 games in San Diego will be tough just because it's West Coast. And it seems like teams go to the West Coast and they're either really focused or they check out, and it could get out of hand easily. The pitching matchups aren't terrible for the Twins for this series, but it's 3 games on the road and it's weird. Yeah, Martin Perez, they should be able to hit Martin Perez, but I don't think Waldron's very good either. But
he's fun though. He's got a knuckleball.
Sure, if that's fun to you.
Fun to watch. I don't want to catch it, and I don't want to hit it, and I don't want to throw it. But I love watching.
Sure, that's all we ever do. Really, we don't. That's the most skin we have in the game. But after the Padres, they come home for 9 against the Cardinals, Braves, and Blue Jays. Reasonably tough, but you should be able to win any one of those games.
And the Cardinals are meh. The Braves are not what everyone hoped they would be. They're just kind of floundering. Maybe they picked it up of late, but I just know the Braves fans that I follow on the tweets are pretty down about how the team has played this year, and the Blue Jays are a mess. So,
well, it's hard to expect the Blue Jays or the Braves with all the players they've lost. I know that's what happened 3 years ago when they won the World Series, but it's hard to expect a repeat of that. So
there's a piece of footage that I should send you, and it's someone asking Rocco about the Blue Jays is like the last. It was one that kind of locked in that the Twins are going to play the Blue Jays, and everyone's like, "How closely are you watching the Blue Jays?" And like Rocco goes, "Honestly, I don't care about the Blue Jays," and it's like it's hilarious, and everybody got so ticked off because he's like, "Oh, he's being dismissive of 0-18 and their opponent and what?" And it's just like, no, he's got 2 games left to manage of the regular season. He's not thinking about Toronto. He's not thinking about Yusei Kikuchi, Jose Barrios, any of that. He's handling today. He'll think about tomorrow. And it's just so funny to hear people freak out about baseball men saying baseball things and just not having the know-how to disseminate that without the express written consent of Rob Manfred.
They definitely look into the future a little bit as far as, well, are we going to have relief pitchers available in 3 days?
Yeah.
But it isn't, they're not necessarily looking at, they have big meetings before every series about, well, here's a scouting report of the team we're playing now. So it's kind of hard to expect one's brain to worry too much about some series that's coming up in 3 days in another city or whatever. So again, let's not be too hard on Rocco for looking in the moment rather than having an answer for everything.
He didn't Google Toronto. We know it.
He didn't. All right. So that pretty much wraps it up. The moral of the story on strength of schedule is it's deceiving.
Yeah.
One, the numbers are very close on the wins and losses now, and they are always subject to change. Two, it's all about timing when you see a team in a series. It's all about when you see a team in a moment in a game. So just, fans, bring your A game to all these games and don't let up like I did. Don't let up like I did and let Alcala give up 4 runs because it's my fault for turning the game off.
I thought you were an alcoholic.
I like him, but I don't like him that much.
But I mean, I am more eager to see the Braves now than I was earlier in the year. I'll say that much.
Right. And when is that? That's like 2 series from now.
Yeah, it's the upcoming homestand. Yep.
All right. Well, for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown. Wishing you all a very pleasant good evening. And we're gonna do another Lockdown Twins another time. But until then, we're gonna see ya
tomorrow.
Night.